Ferrari face several difficult strategy calls during the British Grand Prix, with Charles Leclerc left heartbroken as he slid from first to fourth, all while his teammate romped to victory. Here are the critical issues why. Make sure to like, comment and share this video, and please subscribe to my channel. Grand Prix winner Johnny Herbert has warned Ferrari that they must overcome their historic problem with strategy calls if they stop Red Bull and Max Verstappen from making it back-to-back titles in 2022. Charles Leclerc once again saw victory slip through his fingers last time out, when Ferrari opted not to pit the Monegasque despite being on used hard tyres during a late race safety car period. The team says they chose not to do so in fear that Hamilton, whose hard tyres were newer, would stay out, claim track position and prove impossible to catch. That saw them pit Carlos Sainz for new softs and keep Leclerc out, vulnerable on his weathered tyre set. Sainz would go on to win the race while Leclerc finished fourth. The two drivers also spent the majority of the race fighting for the same bit of tarmac, with the team seemingly slow to act in ensuring they did what was best for their race. But Herbert believes that nailing those crucial strategy calls would have delivered a Ferrari 1-2 at Silverstone and breathed fresh life into their World Championship hopes. Ferrari's strategy gaffes are now an all-too-regular problem, says Herbert, who has urged the team to bang their heads together and find an answer for the problem in time for the fast-approaching Austrian Grand Prix weekend. It comes after Leclerc deemed the next few races as crucial for his hopes of winning his first World Championship. Red Bull strategy, Herbert said, speaking on Any Driven Monday, "I have to say, sometimes it's a bit risque, but they make some brilliant calls to enable their driver to be able to capitalize on getting that race win. That's where it seems Ferrari is still lacking big time. And it's been a bit of a historic thing with Ferrari making these errors, especially this season, but it's happened many times in the past. They somehow need to regroup back at Maranello and bang their heads together, and somehow have a proper idea going into the race weekend in Austria coming up. It's not just Red Bull who Ferrari risks losing out to if they do not sharpen their strategy calls, but also Mercedes, who are now just 51 points behind in the constructors' standings. Mercedes opted to pit Hamilton late in the race at Silverstone, allowing him to replace the Monegasque on the podium. Herbert asked, referring to the team's decision not to pit Leclerc for soft tyres during the late race safety car period, how do they not see that themselves when they've got all the information in the world right there in front of them, and back at Maranello, they still make the same mistakes? That's the unbelievable thing. And that's the strength I think of Red Bull, for sure, and with Mercedes. That's where Ferrari is lacking at the present rounds into a bumper 22 season, and already shades of the Scuderia's mediocre past are beginning to come forth. Having led both championships comfortably following Charles Leclerc's crushing Australian Grand Prix victory, few could have foretold after 3 events that they'd be in arrears. The 24-year-old Leclerc spearheaded Ferrari's strong opening phase of the season, having seen off reigning world champion Max Verstappen in a wheel-to-wheel battle in Bahrain. That was before the Dutchman returned to serve in Saudi Arabia. Reliability reared its head again for the Red Bull in Melbourne, resulting in a second retirement in 3 races for Verstappen, with Leclerc's dominance only rubbing salt in the wound. Yet the usual litany of the driver and team-enforced errors, which famously saw Ferrari's most recent championship bids destabilized in 2017 and 2018, has crept into their 2022 campaign. Their first home race at Imola saw a resurgent Red Bull, and even when it was obvious that finishing third to Verstappen's victory would have limited the damage Leclerc went, and almost binned it with 10 laps to go. Sixth in comparison to Verstappen's maximum point-scoring weekend, including a victory in the sprint on Saturday, and then achieving the fastest lap of the Grand Prix too, was also flattered by Ferrari teammate Carlos Sainz's failure to make it past the end of the first lap for the past 2 races. Ferrari had no answer to Red Bull's race pace in Miami, and it was perplexing that they continued to hold off on upgrades while their rivals were edging ahead. And then, when there were updates to the F175 in Barcelona, Leclerc suffered his first mechanical failure of the season. Leclerc's home race in Monaco should have been the stage for the title prospect to convert his 5th pole position of the season to a fairy tale win, but it was the Ferrari pit wall who let the Monegasque driver down. Ferrari failed to respond to Sergio Perez's first stop to change from full wets to intermediate tyres, instead coming in 2 laps later and ending up undercut by Red Bull. Not only that, but having been released into the path of backmarkers fueled Leclerc's fury, It then boiled over when Ferrari double-stacked him in signs for the switch to slick tires when the track was dry enough. The Monegasque was already behind his teammate at this point, but the further time lost meant that Verstappen also had jumped him. Perez's emphatic Monaco win now puts the 32-year-old within 6 points of Leclerc in the standings, while Verstappen leads by 9. Red Bull 2 led Ferrari by 36 points despite Sainz being runner-up in the Principality. Enough has been seen in these 7 rounds to suggest that the prancing horse is still far from realizing its goal of winning another championship. Even with the development focus in 2021 on the new generation car, the added wind tunnel and CFD runs awarded due to their dismal 2020 position in the Constructors' Championship, a cool and level-headed team principal, Mattia Binotto, and arguably one of the best driver pairings on the grid, Ferrari will need to be more convincing if they can outlast Red Bull across the season. But until Ferrari can develop that operational sharpness that has seen the likes of Mercedes and Red Bull continue winning for more than a decade, all that hype and prospect may as well continue to be a figment of Tifosi's imagination. Lewis Hamilton finished 4th for Mercedes after starting 5th on the grid, having been passed by Russell due to a safety car deployment. As if not already obvious, Spielberg is a happy hunting ground for Max Verstappen and his Red Bull team. Ignoring the Mercedes' dominance of the sport, Red Bull has won the Red Bull Ring 4 times, including last year's Styrian Grand Prix, with Verstappen lifting the trophy on all occasions. The problem with sprint racing before this season was lesser stakes leading to lesser competitive racing. Qualification is one thing, but just 3 drivers taking points from it ruins the desire to achieve lofty positions at the top of the grid. The Red Bull remains the fastest car on the grid, with the closest team in Ferrari struggling to get past their strategies, never mind the drivers ahead of them. Charles Leclerc needs to make sure he has a clean race and find the podium to regain confidence in himself and his team. Carlos Sainz, on the other hand, gets to enjoy his time in the sun. Mattia Binotto needs to make Sainz the #1 driver for this weekend, hot on the back of his first win and at a track where he holds the record for the fastest lap. It's a wrap for now. Has Ferrari already botched its title chances? What do you think about that? Make sure to click the bell icon for more upcoming videos, and please like, share and comment on this video and subscribe to my channel. Until then, goodbye.